in America, Tensions and Tolerance. I'm Sarah French. Don't Ask, Don't Tell bans gays from serving openly in the military. So many people choose to serve hiding who they really are. Fox Connecticut's Anthony DiLorenzo spoke to one woman who decided to leave the military for that very reason.
Catherine Miller was at the top of her class at West Point Military Academy and set to graduate in 2012, though she decided not to enroll her third year because she had to hide the fact that she was gay. Instead, she enrolled here at Yale University so she could live her life openly instead of serving in silence. The future is often a bit cloudy for most teenagers, but for Catherine Miller, nothing but clear goals. At 17 years old, this bright young Ohio athlete strived to serve on the front lines. But in the land of the free, Miller wouldn't be able to do that openly or honestly.
I had just come to terms with myself when I was 17.
Struggling to come to grips with being a lesbian, the daughter of an Army Master Sergeant was being courted for the nation's most prestigious military academy, West Point. Along with the elation of acceptance, she fought an anguishing personal battle, having to serve with a secret in the era of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It called for the discharge of openly gay, lesbian, or bisexual soldiers. Since its implementation, 14,000 service members have been released, and an estimated 70,000 more are serving with the secret.
It wasn't going to impede my aspirations to attend the academy, so I just didn't even think it was significant in the slightest.
But in 2008, Cadet Miller ultimately signed her name and pledged integrity and honor to West Point, despite having to hide who she truly was.
There's a small clause there that explaining what Don't Ask, Don't Tell is, and it says, if you make a written statement saying that you are homosexual, if you're caught engaging in any homosexual conduct, or if you attempt to marry a person of the same sex, you will be discharged.
After grappling with a profound internal conflict, sophomore year would be it for this budding soldier who was at the very top of her elite class. On August 13, 2010, Cadet Catherine Miller was honorably discharged from West Point. With her resignation, she concluded the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy wasn't good for her or the military.
I get a lot of criticism sometimes for knowing I was gay but still entering the military. Which I think is, probably an understandable.
Now a 20-year-old Ivy League student at Yale University, she reflects on loving everything about the academy, but hated what it was making her.
I realized that I've been lying, this entire year that I've been here. I started reflecting on my personal development. I realized that, hey, I was improving myself academically, physically, militarily, but personally, I wasn't sure who I was, and I wasn't sure where this was going. I was becoming, a better and more comfortable and more proficient liar.
Katie Miller is studying political science and heads up an underground network for 800 gay service members silenced by DADT. She spends her days and nights lobbying to abolish it, and even accompanied Lady Gaga, a vocal critic of the policy, to this year's Video Music Awards. Since enrolling at Yale this past September, this polarizing policy has been a hot topic nationwide and with fellow students.
It's institutional bigotry.
I do understand that it also does serve to protect people in the military as well.
It's incredibly disrespectful to the gay and lesbian and members of our armed forces.
We're going to get this repealed. It's a matter of time. Just hang in there, and we're all service members first. It's just it's a shame that we have this additional burden placed upon us, but there's people like me who are generally committed to getting this repealed for you.
Katie says she looks forward to the day when Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed in our country. When asked if she would join the military again, she said there wasn't a doubt in her mind. In New Haven, I'm Anthony DiLorenzo, Fox, Connecticut.
Fighting for the rights of the gay community. Jennifer Levi is an attorney for the Gay and Lesbian Advocates and Defenders, also known as GLAAD, out of Boston, Massachusetts. GLAAD has helped legalize gay marriage in our state, but their work is far from over. Fox Connecticut's Logan Burns sat down with Jennifer.
We represented 8 same-sex couples who had been together from between 10 and 30 years and were denied the right to get married under Connecticut law. And they sought to get married for all the same reasons that people want to get married. They loved each other, they wanted to formalize that commitment, they wanted the recognition of their friends and family, and they also wanted the legal support that comes with the status of marriage.
What was that path like, getting that law passed?
Well, we had to file a case in Connecticut court because Connecticut law didn't allow those couples to marry. And in the meantime, while that case was pending, the Connecticut legislature passed what's called a civil unions law. And the civil unions law made clear that same-sex couples could not marry, but it tried to provide them all of the other legal protections that are associated with marriage. And notwithstanding having passed the civil unions law, those couples still couldn't get the same protections as other couples who could marry. And so we brought a claim under the Connecticut state constitutional guarantees of equality and protection of fundamental rights, just asking that those couples get the same kinds of protections that other families in Connecticut are automatically allowed to access.
Is there anything that can happen that can overturn that ruling or this law that we have here in the state?
Well, no. The Connecticut Supreme Court has now clearly stated that you may not exclude same-sex couples from marrying. And that decision then prompted the legislature to clarify that marriage is provided to all couples regardless of whether it's same-sex couples or different-sex couples. And that's the law of the state of Connecticut now. Section 3 of the Federal Defense of Marriage Act is the provision that exclusively for federal purposes ignores any same-sex marriage couples. And so now that case has gone up on appeal, and a court of appeals will consider the decision that was issued by the district court judge striking down as unconstitutional Section 3 of DOMA.
There's also a case in Connecticut that's just been filed with a federal district court here in this state or in this district concerning a similar issue about DOMA. Right.
So in 2004, same-sex couples could marry in Massachusetts. It wasn't until 2008 that same-sex couples could lawfully marry in Connecticut. And so the case that was brought in Massachusetts has now also been brought in Connecticut because same-sex married couples in Connecticut have the same needs and desires for those federal protections. I would look forward to the day when Congress would repeal that discrimination against married same-sex couples. They don't have to do anything to protect the couples. They simply have to remove that impediment that was placed 15 years ago in front of those couples' families. So certainly we would hope that that would happen.
For more information on how GLAAD continues to fight for the rights of gays and lesbians in Connecticut, check out their website, glaad.org/Connecticut. Out magazine named him one of the most compelling people in the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community. For Hartford Mayor Pedro Segarra, it was unexpected recognition that he'll take in stride.
I was honored. I was quite curious why me, but I think they communicated that it had to do a lot with my not only helping the LGBT community in their struggles here in Connecticut, but having had many years of service of servicing all of the community. So that was interesting because they sort of saw me as a bridge towards not just working with the LGBT community, but working with a broader community, which is important. When it was my time, and I was about in my teens, teenage years, my mother was very supportive. She said that, you know, in this world you could be whoever you want to be, but that it's very important that you respect yourself and you respect others. And it's very important that you be honest to yourself, because if you can't be honest to yourself, you can never be honest to anyone else. So I had a lot of support, but that wasn't the same for the rest of my family. Most of my family tended to be extremely conservative. I've had to do a lot of educating. I continue to do a lot of educating. But you know, it's made easy by the fact that I think that we have a great state, we have a great city, and I think larger and larger amounts of people are moving beyond that, and they're moving towards acceptance, and that's evident by marriage equality being achieved in our state. So it's a process. It's sometimes difficult with some folks, but I think that we're getting to the point that people are starting to respect differences. Because they are acknowledging that if they want respect for their uniqueness, then you have to coexist. It's not you. It's not you. You're not responsible for the bullying. I would say that you need to reach out to folks that can be supportive. Your school counselors, social workers, supportive parents, if you have that support there. It does get better, but you need to understand that you're going through a very difficult time emotionally and psychologically, even without having to deal with the issue of being gay or lesbian. So that's just another burden that you have that's been tossed in there, and you just need to get the support that you need. Don't panic. I think it's a horrible policy. You know, my sister-in-law just came back from Iraq, and she's a lesbian woman, and to think that she has been through every single war since Desert Storm, 5 operations, different war operations that she's been in, and to think that she has to speak with my partner in sort of a code to address issues having to do with her partner, who is now suffering from cancer as she is fighting a war abroad. And it is so painful. It is so painful. You know, someone that's risking their lives every day to have to live in fear, to have to live in isolation, to not have support. Here she is defending all of us, and she can't even communicate with us via phone about her partner for fear of being thrown out of the military. That it's very difficult to impose one's values against other folks when it interferes with their legal rights and their rights as a citizen. So I'm just hoping that people will become educated, and that it gets to the point where it becomes a non-issue. I mean, for me as a mayor, for the most part, it's a non-issue. People are more focused about taxes, about safe and clean streets, about economic development, about jobs. They're not really concerned, you know, when I leave City Hall and go home, areas that are of a private nature to most degree, they're not that consumed by that. They've outgrown that. They're worried about a broader stability and security for the entire community. They're not parceling out territories from themselves. They want to see a great city.
Coming up on Fox Connecticut special, Gay in America, Tensions and Tolerance, how social media and the internet can help connect the gay community. And I spoke to one doctor who has worked with LGBT youth for years, what she suggests for young people and parents.
Connecticut special, Gay in America, Tensions and Tolerance. There are so many websites out there for gay teens. Connecticut special, Gay in America, Tensions and Tolerance. There are so many websites out there for gay teens to find support and get connected. You just have to know where to find them. Our web expert, Rick Hancock, has some out-of-site websites just for you. Back to our Fox Connecticut special, Gay in America, Tensions and Tolerance. There are